Yeah! After 10,000 years, I'm free! It's time to conquer Charmed! Welcome to the 50th Manic episodes, everyone! 50th Manic episode? I don't know, I made 50 of whatever these things are. Happy Charmed Season 10! Since the last video, the Charmed reboot is 3 seasons in. I've already quit watching in disgust.
Just when I thought I was in, they pulled me back out.
They've lost one of their main actresses under sketchy circumstances, and I've actually learned how to pronounce quality and ominous, so it's been a little bit. In case you need a refresher, here's what happened in Season 9. The grand design was messed around with, and there were a couple of big battles involving Scary Teeth and Leo with chicken wings. They met the first witch, a Colin Farrell-looking Darklighter hid in some bushes. The source existed. Cole was a little bitch boy. Piper lamented her children being taught to read. Coop discovered his not very interesting roots. Phoebe had another baby. Paige adopted another baby. Magic was switched around for a bit. Prue is back in the body of a witch who was in a coma, and she absorbed the grimoire and the chicken wing sword, thus meaning she has to stay in the Nexus of the All to hold the realms together and control magic or something. The Nexus is, look, it's a lot. You might just need to rewatch the video. Anywho, Season 9 was kind of a disaster. The art was astoundingly bad, the stories were limited, and it felt like they never really used the potential opened up by continuing this series in comic form. Without actors' egos, budget constraints, or single episode limitations, they could have dived deep into these characters, made some course corrections, and told some new and more ambitious stories. But that's not what happened. Season 10 is a conclusion of sorts. Dare I say the end of the OG era? There was a short-lived reboot for Dynamite in 2017 and a manga adaptation in 2018, but the direct continuation and seasonal format for the original Charmed ends here. As usual, I have way too much to say about it, so here's the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all. Let's start with the good. I'm not just some Charmed hater here. Look, I give props when props are due. And really, honestly, they definitely got the message about the artwork this time around. The look of these comics has massively improved. The faces generally look pretty good, there's no scary hands. The number of artists is significantly less than Season 9, so it stays a lot more consistent. And it's not perfect, a lot of it isn't even inked, some of it isn't finished, and sometimes it is just ugly. But it's miles better than Season 9. In fact, some of the issues actually look pretty damn good. Check out the coloring and the expressions, it's almost like a comic book. And Paige playing with floaty little black cats? Adorable. I do, however, have some, critiques. While the faces are all around fairly accurate to the actors, Phoebe seems to be the hardest for them to get down. Twice, for some reason, she's given terrifying wandering eyes. And this is during a somewhat important scene, so it's a little distracting. The real problem I have with the art in this isn't even to do with the pencil artists, actually. It's with whoever was in charge of the bad digital effects. Because man, that's when it starts to look rough. Digital coloring and shading isn't new to the Charmed comics, but this time around they decided almost all of the fire effects should be done in Photoshop, and man does it look terrible. But it's not every panel that has fire in it, so you can directly compare the noticeable difference in quality between the digital effects and the flames that were actually drawn in. And this isn't a small problem either. A giant chunk of story involves a character with fire powers, so you get to see a lot of it. There's also, this. It, looks real good, guys. Top notch. I feel really bad for Alyssa Felice and Daniela Di Matteo because this really does bring down their generally decent artwork. But hey, you know what I did like? The fact the dialogue doesn't have emphasis on random words anymore. In fact, some of this reads like specific characters with different personalities and mannerisms, with words that flow together like conversations. This can be attributed to the new writer for this season, Pat Shand, and brings me to a point I was honestly shocked by. Dare I say, this season is not that bad? And here is where my comic book knowledge fails me, so I'm unsure how much control he had in deciding the arc for the season, but it seems to me that Pat Shand is someone who understands what works about Charmed in a way I don't think the show has understood since mid-season 4. He's managed to center the story back on family while still remembering the characters as individuals, taken great care to try and fix some of the uglier aspects of the show while still allowing the sisters to be flawed, made a much more cohesive and streamlined arc, and tried to give the series as a whole a satisfying conclusion. I felt, for the first time in a while, some thought and effort being put into this. And while I didn't enjoy every aspect of it, and will make jokes as I am wont to do, I appreciated that Season 10 took some of the risks Season 9 threw away. One thing I'm gonna say is that some of this, well, a lot of it, feels like Season 9 the do-over. Many of the plot points are very similar. For instance, remember Nina, the first witch who was a big bad older than names? Well, meet the old ones, this season's Lovecraftian baddies, a race of demons older than words. Or, as the comic puts it, a big bowl of nasty. And they seem to be taken from H.P. Lovecraft, which has nothing to do with anything, but I just thought I would note it. They're the root of all fear and evil, which sounds kinda like the source of all evil, just worded differently. Then there's the Ancient Athame, a dagger with a stupid name that can destroy someone's soul, which is yet another super special ancient blade that supposedly doesn't exist, right after the Imperial Sword in Season 9. But this one doesn't turn Charmed into Wingfix, so I guess that's a plus? Anyway, these old ones want to be born into the world, and they need to kill the Charmed ones to do it. The usual fare. I did think the introduction was kind of feeble because the first guy they meet is introduced and pretty easily defeated in a silly plot involving attempted cupcake hexing. Neighbor Dan 2.0, aka Gaxagiel, is immediately sniffed out, so plan B is to just smash into the house like the Kool-Aid Man. No, I don't know how the hexed cupcakes fit into the story they set up later down the line. In order to finally defeat him, they make this whole big event out of a thrice-blessed crossbow and getting Prue and Cole's help from the Nexus to find out where he is to defeat him. None of this matters in the slightest, though, because he just shows up at their house again and Paige orbs his heart out of his body. The carnage I do quite enjoy.
Hooray for death!
So much for the innocent guy who was possessed by Gaxagiel.
Another innocent saved.
But wait, hang on a second. What about Billy? Can she help? It's alright, Billy. Appreciate you checking in. Bye, Billy! What did Cole even tell them was his weakness? Oh, who cares? The old ones aren't the only important thing this season. There's also the Ancient Athame. This comes into play when two lower-level demons named Fritz and Valen go looking for it in order to, you guessed it, destroy the Charmed ones. Things get a little, vague concerning how they get this Athame. We're told it involves stealing a couple of shillelaghs from some leprechauns, but that's it? I mean, this is kind of a big deal, and they make a point out of saying these are lower level demons, but we never get anything specific about how they actually got this super mythical soul-destroying dagger. Cole called it the most dangerous weapon the magical community has ever known, and they fought a lot of magical weapons in 10 seasons. The girls are questioning the dude who told them to attack the leprechauns, but Phoebe just gets bored and vanquishes him with a potion she had in her pocket. Truly wonderful detective work, Phoebes. This is because, as the strange ongoing continuity dictates, the Charmed ones hate leprechauns.
Leprechauns! Had to be leprechauns!
Because of a plotline on the show, Paige apparently has a special connection with leprechauns, and she is by far the one who loathes them the most. Her connection does make for a convenient excuse for Piper to get out of helping them though, because this falls squarely under the category of not her fucking problem.
Piper, that's you too! Charmed ones! You're a charmed one! Today, I'm a catering one! They're all yours!
Though I think, for the first time, I might actually understand where they're coming from on this. These leprechaun assholes waltz on into the back of Piper's restaurant, start getting into fights, and get drunk on Rice Krispies. Absolutely not. These leprechauns are a bunch of wild animals. Get the Ancient Athame and have at it, ladies. Currently, however, it's being used by Fritz and Valen to try and assassinate Cole. Or double assassinate him, seeing as how he's already dead. Cole and Leo head on over to the Knox Academy, that is the neutral magic school from last season, to try and get some answers. Why didn't we go to magic school? Prue said you're running the show over there.
Yes, and I don't keep information on an all-powerful weapon in a student library.
Yeah, except for when you guys kept info on the Imperial Sword in your student library. And why does Cole even think the blade he was attacked with was the ancient Athame if it's supposedly a myth? All they did was miss him and hit a wall. Was there something about it that was distinctive?
I need a drink. I need a spa day. Then I can write about soul-destroying daggers in my column.
Headmaster Knox becomes a major player this season, and he's pretty adamant about not meddling in the affairs of good or evil. He only stepped in last season because the balance had shifted. Please enjoy this terrible, terrible panel of Cole being blasted by Photoshop fire while Leo makes the face from that dinner cat meme. Absolutely awful. Apparently Cole was planning on stabbing Knox in the neck with a pen, which is not really the actions I'd associate with someone on the path to redemption. Ha! In your Avatar days, perhaps you frightened me, Mr. Wyatt. Now, you're a teddy bear in flannel. If Leo Wyatt, the Avatar, the Fallen Elder, the God Killer, is a Boy Scout, then I'm the Pope! Ouch, solid burns from Knox. He is apparently well versed in Leo's overly complicated history, and he is not having any of it. But look, Knox feels a favor coming on in the future, so as long as Leo makes a little soul agreement, he'll tell them everything they want to know. In order to activate the ancient Athame, it needs to shed the blood of someone who straddles the bridge between life and death. It's not mentioned how Fritz and Valen knew about Cole, or the fact he'd be at the Halliwell Manor at that very moment, but there you go. Oh man, now they gotta protect Cole or else, just kidding, Valen kills the Angel of Death? What? How does that work? Piper is just too damn busy with her kids. She can't take his place again. Except, we clearly see him in the comic later, meaning he somehow survived this attack, so like, did the ancient Athame just need a little bit of blood, I guess? I mean, it was pretty heavily implied that he destroyed Death's soul, what with them drawing Death fading away and everything, and they didn't ever really come back to the whole killing Death thing. He was just there. Unclear. Very unclear. And despite none of the main characters witnessing or being told about Death's not death, Cole somehow knows the blade is activated when Valen takes one of Paige's charges hostage. Fritz died at some point. And why didn't Paige get a warning about her charge being in danger? Isn't she his white lighter? Speaking of way too many ancient mystical blades.
You've come a long way since we met, Cole, but I'm not sure you're ready for Excalibur.
What the hell? Who is this? Piper is giving Cole credit? This can't be! In fact, Cole is getting a lot of moments all of a sudden. Before they go to rescue Paige's charge, he asks Phoebe if she's happy and wonders what things would have been like if he were a different man. And it's almost sweet if you know nothing about their actual history.
Thanks to you, we vanquished the Source and gave Cole peace.
What I liked about this is that Phoebe doesn't put her usual thanks Colbama routine into play. I would absolutely love to see her have any consequences for her actions, but at the very least, she seems to be a lot more understanding. Cole did do a lot of bad things, and while he's been paying for the things he's done again and again and again, he is allowed to take steps forward here. We are finally set free from the endless cycle that is Cole and Phoebe's relationship. And that's because Cole is 100% dead! Please, somebody kill me. Destroy my soul. I just want oblivion. I called this. I love it. I joked about it and it happened. The only way to set Cole free was to destroy his soul so they have no way to torture him in any realm. Take that, Halliwells. Good luck fucking him up now. Never again will he be given the Sisyphean task of making Phoebe believe in love again. Sure, I could be bummed, but I am nothing but happy for his escape. I mean, the last thoughts he has include evil Phoebe vanquishing him in her weird wandering eyes. We watch her fade from his memory, and just as she starts to come back is when he decides to embrace the void and end it all. I couldn't think of a better chef's kiss of a finale for Cole. Total non-existence was the true path to peace. The only thing that makes me mad about it is that he died saving that useless sack of shit Coop.
Cole dying makes me really happy for some reason. Wait, no, I need to torture you some more. Don't you dare fade into oblivion.
Peace out, bitches.
Yeah!
To Cole.
Yeah, to Cole. May he rot in. Oh, damn it, I forgot he escaped us. Nyeh.
Let's see how Henry is feeling about this. He and Cole existed together, I think.
I love you. Snurk. Snurk.
The guys are so similar, I genuinely thought this was Coop at first. But then he was in the next panel, feeling something like guilt or maybe diarrhea. The girls vanquished Valen, by the way, in case you're wondering. You weren't. Well, now Cole's story is complete. Just kidding, it's about to get very, very messy and complicated. To be fair, this is just as much the fault of comics as it is Charmed. However, to get to the end, we have to go back to the beginning. When Cole was introduced in Season 3, he was hired to destroy the Charmed Ones in exchange for his father's soul. Just to refresh you, his dad, Benjamin Turner, was the human half, and he was killed by his mom, who was kind of a dick, and also a demon. He eventually got hold of his soul, put it in a cabinet, and then the show forgot about it. Well, 7 seasons later, here's the payoff. I don't know what exactly his plans were for his dad's soul back then, because it's never elaborated on, but now he's decided to dust it off and bring his dad back to life. He thinks doing so will help his own spirit move on. Wait, I thought Ghost Grandma and Mom told him he could move on if he helped find Prue. And he's already helping innocents now, so is there some particular thing about his dad that seems final to him? He says it's because his mom killed him and he didn't die peacefully, but like, what does that have to do with anything? As far as tying up loose ends goes, however, I do appreciate Season 10's attempt at bringing Cole's story back full circle. When he asks for Prue's help resurrecting his father and she says that's insane, he gets angry, wondering why she and the people she loves get second chances, but not his father. To the Charmed Ones, death means nothing, so there's no reason not to bring him back. Saving his father would not only mean helping someone innocent, but righting the wrong that caused Cole to suppress his human half for so long. But Cole doesn't have to stay at the Nexus and help Prue, he does it by choice. He's not just using her to get what he wants, he's built a connection with her and genuinely wishes to do good. That's why he continues to do so even when she refuses his request. So when Cole is completely destroyed, Prue feels guilty. Unlike Phoebe, she doesn't project Cole stink onto every one of her problems. She slips his father's soul into Coop's pocket because she figures they owe him enough to fulfill his last wish. I don't know, trusting Coop with this kinda seems like you want it to fail. Last season, I felt like there was a struggle to incorporate Coop, mostly because Cupids are a difficult supernatural entity to use, and Coop himself never really got a foothold as a character. This time around, they found a way to make the Cupids part of things, and have Coop act as an independent entity from Phoebe. Their story still ties together with them being married, but he does feel less like excess baggage.
I'm a slam dunk. Coop, there it is.
The Charmed Ones have replaced Magic School with Cupid's Temple as their go-to useless husbands and children hideout. You know, the place with the dead baby ghosts. Have fun, kids! They don't ever give an explanation for why they've chosen to go there instead of Magic School, but whatever the reasoning is, Coop gets himself into a little bit of trouble. Turns out he's not really supposed to be taking the kids there, so he says he has to go to a Cupid hearing about it. But actually, he doesn't. Coop tells Henry, God, please don't draw these two samesies together in a single panel, that this was just a cover while he did research into the Cole thing. Except later, it turns out he was lying about there being no hearing, so he was covering for his cover? Seeing as how Cole saved his life, Coop wants to finish his unfinished business for him. He turns to Henry for help because... I don't know. Whoa, resurrect? As in, raise the dead? You know I'm a police officer, right? If my captain finds out I'm resurrecting the dead, I could get suspended. This is risky business, sneaking around the Charmed Ones' backs, because if they find out they lied to them, these two are gonna end up a bunch of Leo chunklets. Turns out Coop and Henry was the buddy cop story I didn't even know I needed. I did actually enjoy some of the humorous interactions between these two. The problem they've run into, however, is that they're both a bit useless in the magic department, what with one of them just being a cop and Coop being the embodiment of a tech help forum post from 2007. I suppose Coop could use his time-traveling ring to maybe save Cole's life, but whatever. It turns out they only have half of Cole's dad's soul, and the other half is in the demonic wasteland, which they can't access by themselves. For that, they're gonna need yet another character, but this time a little bit gayer. They're gonna need Tyler Michaels. Tyler Michaels was a fire starter they met in Season 4, who was also a minor character in Season 9, and I really didn't expect to have to remember him, but somehow he has become very important. And now he's dating a witch named Kareem. After 10 seasons of next to no LGBT representation, it's nice to finally see a more prominent gay character. Tyler's parents don't care about the gay thing, but they definitely have an issue with him wanting to be a vlogger. And honestly, take it from me, they're right to worry. It's all fun and games until suddenly their family dinner is sponsored by NordVPN. Well, forget everything you ever knew about Tyler Michaels, which I'm guessing was pretty much nothing up until the last minute or so. He's not a fire starter after all. He's an Archai, a supposedly extinct race of beings that were hunted because of their ability to travel to any plane of existence. This is a very convenient revelation for Coop and Henry, who hitch a ride with him into the demonic wasteland. They're immediately attacked by some dragon demon thing, and Coop is going to use his Cupid powers on it, and Henry has a gun. This is the dumbest team up of all time. I love it. And the giant Balthazar statue? Like, honestly. I'll give you one guess as to who fucks up everything. Time's up, it's Coop. He ends up dropping the soul halves, and when they return, he's Benjamin Turner. Stupid Coop Coldad. I love my dead demon son. This Coop being the dead father of Phoebe's dead ex-husband is short-lived, however, because Prue, being all-powerful now, zings him on over to Cole's body.
Just let the dude rest in peace!
I guess this is the Charmed Comics way of letting Cole move on but still having him around. I don't know. Which brings me to Benjamin Turner, another unexpected player that's brought into the mix. The show didn't really give us much about him other than he tried to take Cole away from his demon wife and ended up dead. Here's what I can tell you after having read this. Dude is old. Leo is also old, and they bond over that. He's also a caring father, which fits into the Charmed theme of family. The problem is, he never really knew his son, since he was dead most of his life, and now his son's entire soul has been destroyed. He asks Phoebe to tell him about him, while at the same time remembering fragments of his life because of his new body. This also means he keeps seeing Phoebe's true demonic self, which can be a little bit frightening. Cole's memories make things complicated for Benjamin. This is all he has of him, and it's kind of difficult to love your child while reliving all of the horrible things they did as a demon. Cole Dad is not a big fan of demons, a bit demon prejudiced even, which fits with the Charmed ones pretty well. Unlike the Charmed ones, however, he does experience some growth the more he experiences the gray areas. And largely, that's due to the relationship he develops with Kira. If you don't remember Kira, she's the Charisma Carpenter demon who was vanquished by Zanku, who is back for plot-related reasons I'll get into later. She might be the character I enjoyed the most. She had a ton of personality and was a lot of fun. I have a strong suspicion Pat Shand, who wrote for the Angel comics, brought her back because of an affection for Cordelia, but this is also how she was written on Charmed. She's blunt and morally ambiguous, but usually falls on the side of good, and she has a lot of neat stuff to do here. Cole Dad asks her to take him back to see his son before his soul was destroyed, which is where we get that unforgivably bad blurring effect, and things get a little confusing at this part. Benjamin fuses with past Cole for just a second and gets stabbed by the ancient Athame, and they have this cliffhanger where it seems like reality is shattered, but it isn't. It just looks like that when the spell ends, I guess? I have no idea. Maybe they changed their mind on something? It's weird. Cole Dad is just going to have to live with this guilt. He's still trying to figure out where his son ends and he begins, which includes leftover feelings for Phoebe, but he isn't going to give into that because he has feelings for Kira too. I guess he has a thing for former demons. The venture into the demonic wasteland is a big sticking point for several characters. An argument about Henry's involvement brings to a head something he's been harboring for a long time, and that's that their whole family is in danger simply because Paige is a Charmed one. He's brought up feelings of inadequacy in the past because he isn't magical and can't protect his family in that way, which has built up unfair resentment against her. He went to the wasteland with Coop because he was tired of being helpless. I found it interesting comparing Henry's story to Leo, who has become more accepting of his role without powers, while Henry has gone in the opposite direction. Henry and Paige's fractured relationship make Paige more vulnerable to attack by Barbas. The storyline uses her past as an alcoholic to effectively reinforce her feelings that she may be a danger to others again. It's a good use of Paige's backstory that I think was often forgotten. That being said, This storyline is a little bit rough. It doesn't exactly reflect well on Henry, but he's not wrong per se. Paige asks him if he thinks she's a good mother, and he says he's afraid for their kids. He asks her to come with him to LA to leave all of this charmed business behind. But it's not exactly as easy as that to abandon her duties or her family. She's not Phoebe learning origami after all. Henry doesn't want this to be the end of them, but he doesn't know how to solve their problems. It eventually gets to the point where he threatens to leave with the kids whether she comes with them or not. This is not resolved, and this is where things start to fall apart for me. But anything further involves the main arc of the season, so hold on to your seats and wait for this one, folks.